This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening and welcome to the April 16th, 2025 South Whitehall Township Board of Commissioners meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. We have all commissioners present this evening. At this time, I would ask you to all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Under announcements, I'd like to announce that all public sessions of the South Whitehall Township Board of Commissioners are electronically recorded, filed, and posted to the Township website for public access. This time, I'll ask our Township Manager, Tom Petrucci, to please review our public virtual meeting rules.
Thank you. The public virtual meeting rules are as follows. Courtesy of the floor for non-agenda items will be at the beginning and end of the agenda. Public comment will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. For all listed agenda items, the board president will call for courtesy of the floor prior to the Board of Commissioners taking action on that specific agenda item. For in-person attendees, please raise your hand to be recognized and move to the podium when directed. You will be asked to state your name and address for the record and may then proceed with asking your question. For those participating virtually, please mute your microphone or telephone to avoid any background noise that may cause interference during the meeting. The chat box feature will be active throughout the meeting. If you have a comment or question, please type your full name and address into the chat box. The staff member monitoring GoToMeeting will then unmute your microphone and you will have the opportunity to comment or ask a question. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I'd also like to announce the Board of Commissioners met in executive session prior to tonight's meeting to discuss legal and personnel matters. Agenda item 4 is courtesy of the floor. This is opportunity for any member of the public to comment on any non-agenda items. Is there anyone present this evening who would like to address the board? Is there anyone on virtually? No. Comment? Very good. Thank you. Agenda item 5 is presentations. Tonight, under 5A, we have the Planning Commission report for the year 2024. It's been included in your packet for review in advance. Does the board have any comments or questions on the report as it's been presented? Does the public have any comment? The only comment I have is I want to thank the members of the Planning Commission as well as the CD staff for compiling all this information for the board's review and for the public, so thank you. At this point, I need a motion to accept as presented. I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 5B, we have our 2025 Comprehensive Plan Reexamination Report. Again, was distributed to the board, available online for the public to review. Are there any comments or questions from the board?
Just one comment. I would encourage any member of the public to please look over the Comp Plan Reexamination Report with great care. It really shows, I think, an incredible amount of progress that's been made on a wide variety of topics and issues and projects, and certainly all the credit goes to Dave and Chris and Herb and Tom and the entire staff. So I would strongly encourage everyone, if you're able, please navigate to the Township website, check it out, check the progress, because in the 2 years since we've adopted the comp plan, we've certainly made great strides. So that's all.
Great comments, Commissioner Roth. I'll piggyback on that. Thank you, staff, for this yearly review of our comprehensive plan, which is important to make sure that we're keeping up with the initiatives and the focus of the plan that was adopted. This particular review and reexamination report, you color-coded those initiatives that were in progress or completed. Fabulous. Very, very well done. Thank you. Very helpful. So thank you for doing that work. Any other comments?
Again, congratulations and thank you for all that hard work. In a matter of 2023, 2 years, we've completed things already. It's completed, in progress. It's incredible. The work that you have done is incredible. So thank you. And it's such an organized format. So thank you very much.
There are no other comments from the board. Is there any public comment? I need a motion to accept the report as presented.
So moved.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 6A, we have our meeting minutes from the April 2nd, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting. They've been distributed. Any comments or questions? Need a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion, a second and a third. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 7, ordinances. 7A, we have an ordinance of the Township of South Whitehall, County of Lehigh, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending Part 2, General Legislation, Chapter 336, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 4, General Parking Regulations of the Codified Ordinances of South Whitehall Township to amend Section 336-33, Parking Prohibited at All Times in Certain Locations, to provide for a parking prohibition located at 3419 Broadway, established for this property, and to provide a repealer clause, retention of rights to enforce, severability clause, and effective date. And Tom, if you'd please present.
Thank you. So before you this evening is an ordinance for your consideration of advertisement in order to effectuate a parking restriction at 3419 Broadway, which is the location of Cedar Church. So the property owner did identify, and the township confirmed by way of the Public Works Department and the Police Department command staff, that there is a clear sight distance issue as a result of the lack of a parking restriction at the location. So we would respectfully recommend that the parking restriction be implemented and that the ordinance be advertised as submitted. So I would seek a motion to do so, please.
Thank you, Tom. Does the board have any comments or questions? Is there any public comment? Any online? Hearing and seeing none, I need a motion to advertise said ordinance draft.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 8A, we have a resolution extending the conditional preliminary final approval granted to a major plan entitled Aesthetic Surgery Associates Medical Office Building. I'll ask Director of Community Development, Dave Manhart, to please present.
Thank you. This is an application to develop a property located at 1619 Houseman Road. Plan proposes to construct a two-story, roughly 32,000 square foot medical office building, an 87-space parking lot on the 2.61 acre parcel. The property is served by public water and public sewer, is zoned highway commercial. 1619 Houseman Partners LLC is the owner and applicant. At the May 1st, 2024 meeting, the Board of Commissioners granted approval to the Aesthetic Associates Medical Office Building with 17 conditions and 6 favorably recommended waivers and deferrals via Resolution 2024-75. Condition 17 of that resolution included the 12-month requirement that plans be recorded within 12 months. This project has been moving along. They're very close to the end. Right now, they're really just dealing with administrative items and finalizing agreements. So the requested 6-month extension should be plenty for this one.
Good, Dave, thank you. I'll ask our Township Engineer, Tony Telleride, if you have any engineering comments for the board.
No, actually, they satisfied all the outstanding comments in our letter. I believe it's really just documents and legal is where they're at, so we have no problem.
Very good. I'll open up to the board. Are there any comments or questions on this resolution?
Is 6 months enough time to extend this?
I'll answer the question. Eric Schock, Fitzpatrick, Munson-Muba.
Welcome.
Thanks. Yeah, in this instance, it should be more than enough. As was indicated, I think, Tony, it was probably the encroachment permit that took the longest, one of the last. So we had a couple of engineering items that took a little bit longer than normal. Everything else is taken care of. I've spoken to the owner. Financing's in place. We got our last what we think is the last round of the agreements back to the solicitor very shortly ago. So this one, knock on wood, will move pretty rapidly and should be wrapped up in the next month or two.
Very good. Thank you for that update. Any other board comments?
Dave, you said it's moving along well. The applicant has satisfied 8 of 19. According to my math, that is less than half of the conditions have been approved. So how can it be moving along well when the majority of the conditions haven't been met?
A lot of those conditions are legal.
So the lawyers are holding it up?
Yes. Not to throw anybody under the...
But they're not done until I mean, those ones naturally occur when you've taken care of all the engineering ones. So by their very nature, they are pushed to the end because we have to wait for the cost estimate to be final and all of those types of things, which can't happen until your engineer knows that the engineering is finally set in place. So it's not typical. You could throw them in one and we'd only have one open and just say legal stuff. but.
We could, yes.
So of those 11, how many are engineering type?
So I don't, actually, I do have them.
Tony, do you have that answer?
Do you have the report? All right, Dave has a good checklist
Very
that they
good.
keep.
So some of it was, we were waiting for the clean engineering letter. So 2, 3, 4, 5 we'll have to verify, 6. There's fees that are associated, so those typically wait until the end. So there's a couple conditions with the fees. There's fees again. LCCD, that's outside agency. Typically, those are reviewed as part of the engineering. DEP, same deal. And then we get into the right-of-way, utility easement, bills of sale, easement, address sign, which is met. Open invoices is another kind of standing one that gets done at prior to plan recording. And then we have to, and the last 2 are essentially catch-all conditions that we have on all of our conditions.
Any other questions?
So it's probably less than 8 or more than 8 completed.
Any other comments? Any public comment? Any online comments? Hearing and seeing none, I need a motion to adopt said resolution.
Make motion.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Hey, thanks for your time.
Project. Agenda item 8B, we have a resolution granting preliminary final approval to a minor plan entitled Rue Minor Subdivision 2013-201. Again, Director of Community Development, Dave Manhart, if you'd please present.
So this is an application to subdivide the property located at 2442 Huckleberry. Plan proposes to subdivide the parcel into 4 lots for single-family homes. The lots are proposed to be served by public water and private septic. The property is zoned R4 medium residential. Robert Rue is the owner and applicant. The Planning Commission recommended preliminary final approval at their November 12th, 2024 meeting, subject to 22 conditions. 9 waivers were recommended and 4 deferrals. This application was originally submitted in 2013, so it's been a long time coming, and there's been a lot of iterations with this plan. It was submitted in 2013, so that is the actual saldo and zoning that we were following. And part of the process is there's been so many iterations of it. It's gone between a major plan and a minor plan, so you may have noticed there were some comments to clarify that. It was actually reviewed as a major plan, but all the site plans are labeled as minor. We added a condition into the resolution to change that prior to recording. So we'll clean up that issue. The resolution contains 28 conditions. Some of those were added for the clarification part. Some of the standard catch-all ones at the end, I can kind of review those conditions if you'd like. And then 9 waivers, 4 deferrals. The deferrals are essentially anything east of the existing house on Huckleberry. And the waivers are primarily interior to the development associated with the cul-de-sac. So that's kind of how the big picture of it. So if there's any questions, Tony and I and the applicant are here to answer.
Thank you, Dave. Again, I'll ask our engineer, Tony, if you have any comments for the board.
No, I think this was this project was well vetted. Through the years, there was I would say some of the holdups had to do with the agreements between the 2 landowners and organizing if it was going to be on lot or public water, sewer, we kind of worked through those items, but at this point, we're comfortable with recommending. And again, there are waivers, deferrals, we can go through them, but as Dave said, in terms of when we get waivers, this private cul-de-sac acts like a long driveway in essence. So we would never see this growing up to needing to be called in. You're never going to have a change. Whereas a road like Huckleberry, maybe that gets widened, maybe you have sidewalk that extends a whole way through. So that's why we recommend deferrals for that type of road. But if there's any specific questions, we can go through. But if not, we are comfortable with how the resolution's written and we could recommend.
Very good. Thank you, Tony. And thank you to the CD staff for putting together a very comprehensive packet for the board. I'll open up to the board if there are comments or questions on this plan.
So the sidewalk you said is going to be a deferral?
So if you pull up the plan, Chris, maybe you can rip down to sheets 4 or 5 in the set. There will be sidewalk on the west side of their driveway.
Of that house?
That's correct. Yep. The driveway's going to go between the two existing homes, if you will. And they're putting the sidewalk in. That is the Ridge Farms property to the west, and they are putting that sidewalk in to their driveway.
Okay.
East of the existing house, they are deferring it because as of right now, there's not enough room to get the sidewalk to connect through because of how that existing house is situated. If for some reason the house is rebuilt or something, I think that would be the appropriate time to call that in to make a continuous sidewalk. But as of now, we defer that to the east.
Okay, because my concern was with Ridge Farms going in there and these houses going in there, there's a high probability there's going to be a bus stop for those kids at where my Linda goes into the Ridge Farm development and for some way for them safely to walk towards a bus stop, whatever that may be. So that was my concern. I understand to the east and I'm familiar with the topography, but I'm glad that the western side is going to have a sidewalk to connect to the sidewalk from the Ridge Farms.
That's correct. And both of those, the alignment of that sidewalk has been coordinated with Ridge Farms. So whoever comes first kind of builds the property line, the next one ties in. But those grades and that layout should be continuous. And
there was at one time a proposed right out only turn. Was that removed?
No, that's still there. It is a right out.
Is that whose requirement is that? Is that a PennDOT thing?
No, not a PennDOT road. That's this is a right out.
Was the right out a South Whitehall thing saying that they have to have, or a PennDOT thing saying they have to have?
It was not a. It's not a PennDOT because it was not a state road. So it was a recommendation.
Huckleberry's a state road.
No, township. So it was a recommendation of the Planning Commission to go right out only.
Any other board comments?
Yeah, I do have a question. I'm looking at the road here and the exit onto Huckleberry. I should know this. What is the speed limit on Huckleberry? Is it 25?
Some section, I believe that section is 25 because of the school,
Okay.
but it does change at different parts because Huckleberry carries all the way up into the northern side of the township also.
Is there any plan for some signage saying, private driveway or just for someone who's not familiar with the area to know that there are going to be cars moving in and out of that? Is that something that was discussed?
Yeah, I believe there is.
It's been a while since I looked at the signs, but I believe there is something. I've got it on the sign. Oh, there we go. Now I got the light. It's been a little while since I looked at that. I believe there was a sign that's, dead end or something like that to that.
No outlet or dead.
Okay,
Yeah,
something to
yes,
indicate
there
that
is
there's-
something for as it just being a private cul-de-sac.
And the last question I have is about refuse collection. Was that resolved? Because I know there was discussion about having it in that cul-de-sac, in that bulb, rather than have it out on Huck. Is that what's going to happen?
So everything is designed such that the fire or the refuse truck can come in there if everyone desires. But at the end of the day, it's really up to the township and the refuse collector of exactly how that functions. But it accommodates that if that's the township's desire.
All right.
Yeah, I believe currently, if I'm not mistaken, the residents put their trash right out on the Huckleberry, but it was designed that they can come up and serve those for homes.
Right. There's
Again,
enough room.
to what he said though, that has to be coordinated with the trash hauler.
Yeah, and our preliminary understanding is that the trash hauler would be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board?
My only comment is I'm glad to see this moving forward after many years of hard work. And I wish all the best of luck to the applicant in seeing this project come to fruition. So that's the only thing I wanted to add.
Well said, thank you.
Displacing a lot of deer. Just want you to know.
Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Is there anyone online with a comment? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to adopt said resolution?
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Good. Thank you all very much.
And good
Again,
luck
you made
to
my life very easy. Thank you. Your staff did that for me. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that feedback. We appreciate that. We have a wonderful staff. Agenda item 8C, we have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of South Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, adopting Phase 1 of the South Whitehall Township Transportation Plan. And I'll call on our long-range planner, Chris Spolter, to present.
Thank you. So last month we took a look at the draft transportation plan. We're calling this the first phase of the transportation plan. To recap this plan, we started working on post the comprehensive plan to start to look at all the transportation issues that were brought up in that, and also look at some of the other planning that we needed to. The first phase of this covered the public engagement portion, the active transportation plan, and the safety plan. The next phase of the plan, which we're working on now, will cover freight analysis, road classifications, and congestion management. I'd love to just give a chance for our consultants here from the team at Bowman a chance to kind of talk about what we now can do with this plan. It's been great working with Randy Waltmeyer and Rob Gates from the planning team at Bowman. They were consultants throughout this project. They've had a chance to really get to know South Whitehall Township, get to know our residents. I want to thank many members of our steering committee, including Commissioner Hodges and Commissioner Peischel, to see this plan come together over the past year. It lays a lot out for the township, a lot of things that were identified initially in the comprehensive plan, and it allows us to kind of move forward with a number of opportunities related to grants, future planning, and other policy updates. So I'll hand it over to Rob and Randy to kind of give you an overview about what we can do with this now and where this goes in the future.
Fantastic. Welcome, gentlemen.
Great. Thank you for the pleasure of working with you and the township and staff over the last year plus on this. We, in terms of the queuing up the implementation, being candid, sometimes this is the high level strategy, and oftentimes it's great as that strategic plan, but it doesn't always answer every single question for every single corridor. So in many cases, and it's actually a credit to the township, for instance, one of the priority corridors is Hamilton Boulevard. The implementation plan suggests that a road safety audit be done for Hamilton Boulevard, really a focused effort that would study that corridor with a follow-up, a spin-off implementation. Probably many of you are already aware that the township has secured funds and RFP is out there. So in many cases, that's to your credit that the township is already implementing this plan even before it's yet ratified and adopted. So in many cases, there on the safety side, there are 6 priority corridors. Another one, for instance, is the 309 intersection with Ridgeview and Bulldog, where a recommendation would be an intersection study. would we have loved to solve that for you within this study? Absolutely, but it's its own complicated study. It requires that spin-off engineering exercise, and that's exactly what's being recommended. So one of the implementation, this project was funded through the federal Safe Streets for, oh no, I'm sorry, it was not funded, but it's setting you up for Safe Streets for All funding. There is a call for such projects that's open right now. And so, for instance, if there would be appetite, one of the things you can fund through that is road safety audits. So there would be a great opportunity to do that now. We're not here necessarily to get you already to that. There will be subsequent rounds available where, and this would set you up with many of these recommendations to be advanced in exactly that manner. We've also been working with the city of Allentown as a sub-consultant, and they've been jumping into some implementation, things like crosswalk striping or other lower cost safety improvements. We're recommending that a study and an evaluation of frankly all the crosswalks be looked at in partnership with Public Works. And so there might be that package of more lower cost improvements that again could be implemented, whether it's through SS4A, ARLI, multimodal fund. The plan gives a whole suite of different grant opportunities then that could be situated and made ready for that. So I'll stop there and if to answer any questions, but again, just want to thank for the opportunity and I think it really sets the township up, both not just on safety, there's a whole active transportation side that I'll spare those details, but really packaging that up together, I think gives the township a really nice roadmap for both safety and mobility.
Randy and Rob and everyone at Bowman, thank you. This has been really an incredible study to review. I was not on the subcommittee, Commissioner Hodges and Peischel were, but it's really fantastic. The group that was brought together to do this work in conjunction with you, very collaborative effort between community development, our police department, public works, first responders. I mean, the list of partners here was just incredible. I'll defer any more comments. I want to first ask if our township manager or chief of police had any comments before we open it up.
I just want to reiterate the comments that this provides us a very comprehensive roadmap in which to proceed and for the betterment of the township and the community and for the road safety network of the residents and visitors, business owners of the township. And we can use this now to ensure that we're taking the appropriate steps from a planning perspective. And then once we are ready to implement the recommendations and move forward to seek appropriate grant funding and do it in a way that is meaningful and thought out ahead of time. And it will be a tremendous advantage to have this in place for the township.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, I just want to add that before I came here, my focus in policing was traffic safety the previous 8 years before I came here. That's why I was nodding as you were talking. You're speaking my language. And one of the initiatives of the police department always, and my priority coming here, was assisting with traffic safety throughout the town. And I got to tell you, this report is next level. I've worked with Port Authority, New York and New Jersey DOT, and other partners. And this was one of the best plans I've ever seen, ever. Engineering, planning, the data analysis, all of it. And the goal for us in policing is that high injury network of roadways and go into Vision Zero by 2035. And I just wanted to say from the police perspective, many of the things that you mentioned as like strategies for traffic safety, I've done and I've seen that they're successful, including speed management, portable speed signs, high visibility enforcement, safe routes to school, road safety audits, of which I was a part of my first one for Blue Barn Road. Those are and intersection improvements also on that. So police department's ready to do our part. This is literally next level. You set the bar pretty high for me, whatever report I deliver next. But seriously, great job. And a lot of the stuff that you said, I know from experience, it works. So thank you.
Thank you for your input, Chief. I'll open up to the board for comments.
My only comment is thank you to all involved. When we reviewed the draft of this a couple of meetings ago, I was just absolutely blown away. We've seen a lot of plans in this township keep getting better and better. We, reference the comp plan. I mean, this is the most impressive municipal issue plan I have ever seen, because it's going to not be easy and not be quick, but there's a path forward to taking this plan and then laying it over some of the, or many of the issues we have with respect to transportation. And certainly part of that is the team, all the stakeholders who are listed in the plan. Again, I encourage the public to check this out. Staff, the commissioners, and really a high quality consultant, all coming together to make this plan just, again, be one of the best I've ever seen. So as with any plan, I'm looking forward to seeing this being implemented. But we're certainly well on our way. Not for lack of a metaphor here, but the road is really clear ahead as to how we're going to get to that Vision Zero. So thank you to all involved again.
Could I just amplify that one of the key recommendations is to continue a task force, perhaps with similar membership that helped to put the plan together, to keep a pulse on the plan, keeping good accountability across all departments on how to move it forward. None of us want this to just sit on the shelf. It won't get us to Vision Zero if it just sits on the shelf. So it's going to take that committee staying accountable and on top of the action plan. And I think that's a really exciting. You don't see that often, but I think it's really going to set this plan up for further success.
I could agree. And just to add, sorry,
Oh, go ahead.
we have some implementation items later on the agenda tonight, so we're jumping right in. And
Yes.
that task force is one of them.
Task force is one of them. Yes.
Fast acting.
So again, I want to thank everybody who was involved with this. We not only had your expertise and your guidance, and you as well, Chris and Dave, Herb, everybody who contributed, but we had a foundation of a robust community input and engagement. And I feel that that's really important. People said what they felt were the trouble spots and brought the issues to our attention. And it just, from the bottom up, it's perfect. So thank you so much.
Any other comments from the board? I'll just summarize by again thanking you. This study is, as Commissioner Roth stated, something that I've never seen a work product in South Whitehall at this level. It's just simply incredible, and I'm looking forward to taking steps forward for implementation and keeping this moving and growing as the township needs change over time. I think the template here, as you mentioned, for sidewalk studies and crosswalks, we've got a very mobile township. We've got a lot of bikers and walkers, and that's one of the comments I hear often from residents is not necessarily safe to cross the street. So this is really fabulous, and the timing is really spectacular. So I want to thank everybody, and I again encourage the public, and maybe we can put this summary of our report on the website somehow, but
after tonight, we'll be putting some additional notices out on the township website of the plan and probably some additional maps. There's a lot of great mapping in here, and just to maybe have that a little bit more interactive on the township website. Again, as Randy mentioned, kind of that tracking and the implementation of projects is something that we hope to see really move forward with this. So having this be a living document is really the goal here.
it's fantastic. Thank you for your continual outreach to get public input and to have our public be made aware of what we're working on internally for the safety of our community. I think that's critical. So thank you to everybody. Are there any public comments? Yes, sir. Just give us your name and address for the record.
I'm Don Sheasley, 1411 Hampton Road. So this is not going to cover Bulldog and Ridgeview? Is that what you're saying? I mean, that's a horrible intersection. We all know that.
Yeah, it is one of the 6 priority safety projects that have been identified, and it's recommended that an intersection study be done at that intersection. So to be clear, that study has not yet been done. That would be a follow-up activity that would have to be advanced by the township to then move forward the plan.
So we're going to do that then? Is that what you're saying? You need
That next phase would require extensive engineering review because you have to meet federal highway guidelines. So this plan is set forth in order to identify the problem areas so that you then can seek additional funding to address those problem areas. Until you've completed this portion of the plan, though,
Yes.
you can't get to that next step with the Federal Highway Administration. So
Okay.
it doesn't get to that level of minutia, but the goal is then to use this plan to help us get to that level of minutia.
Okay, thank you. It's just a mess of a road. That's why I'm hoping it's part of it.
I would just add to what Mr. Sheetsley said. When we reviewed this draft plan a month ago, that was my first comment was, I can't wait to hopefully apply this to Bulldog, Ridgeview, and 309. So 100%, point well taken.
We heard two corridors repeatedly, Hamilton Boulevard and 309 and Bulldog. So you shouldn't be shocked that those are two of the priority corridors of this project.
Are there any other public comments? Are there any comments from anyone online? Very good. Hearing and seeing none. I need a motion to adopt said resolution to adopt phase 1 of the South Whitehall Transportation Plan.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Again, to Bowman, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
your assistance with the township. Appreciate you. Agenda item 8D, we have a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of South Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, repealing the 2023 Township Traffic Calming Policy and place a moratorium on future traffic calming projects. And again, I'll ask our long-range planner, Chris Stroller, to present.
Thank you. As Dave mentioned, we are moving forward right away on implementation of the plan. So as part of the transportation plan, some of the work involved included a policy analysis of all of our policies related to transportation, the 2023 traffic calming policy being one of those. Some of the information that we researched in conducting this plan was the addition of additional, I'd say, guidelines coming out of PennDOT's design manual updates this year. The traffic calming policy references the, I don't know what year it is offhand, but it references the traffic calming manual from PennDOT probably about 10 years ago. PennDOT has since updated their design manual, and they're introducing more what we call contextual based design guidelines, which looks at not just the roadway, but the surrounding land use of the roadway, which is definitely something that resonated very well with this, the transportation plan. So with that change in additional criteria, and as we mentioned earlier, the second phase of our transportation plan will look at reclassification of roadways in the township, including that contextual based classification process of surrounding land use. We felt that it was necessary to revise the traffic calming policy to reflect those new guidelines and take into consideration the roadway classifications. I'll say as part of this, we would be requesting from the board to revise to actually pause the traffic calming policy, revise that, and to put a moratorium on new projects coming in so that we can revise that policy and actually get that ready for new projects. We do have two projects currently under the current policy, which we are moving forward on. And actually, I think next month we're coming forward with some potential design, additional considerations for design on those two projects. But we would be, as part of this resolution, also putting a pause on future projects coming in until the new policy is updated. We do have the PennDOT design manual that has the information that I think we can incorporate into this policy. And then probably by, I would say, the fall of this year, we hope to have that second phase of the transportation completed with, again, the guidelines on the reclassification of roadways. So I don't see this being a very long time for us to revise this policy. Also going through this as being a new policy from 2023, having those two projects submitted, it is showed us maybe some areas that procedurally we can try to expedite the process just to try to move things forward. It's been a good test case for those, and we're hoping to maybe add in some components that can streamline the process for the neighborhoods.
Excellent, Chris. Thank you for that presentation and update. Just to be clear, so any current traffic calming that the township is working on will continue?
Correct. We have two current projects under the policy that have applications in, But after this, it would just be a pause until the new policy is adopted.
And during this pause period, if a resident were to contact the township with a concern, how will that be addressed if we don't have a policy?
We can certainly and consider it and start to take it through the process. But it's just, we have the importance of the policy is it starts a very regimented procedure. And we're finding that procedure, there's areas that we can speed it up. So I think starting to look at it, and again, with the feedback from the transportation plan, there's a lot more in there as far as identification of solutions and strategies. We've been successful in looking at local road safety audits. As the police chief mentioned, we just did one at Blue Barn. So there's certainly opportunities for us to start studying areas if there's an interest. The most important piece of actually the updated policy is also to give guidelines on how, once we get to the preferred solution, is how we're going to implement that solution. All of these will take some sort of cost consideration and some capital consideration for implementation of these items. So laying out a very clear process, both for the Board of Commissioners and for the residents as part of these neighborhoods to understand where that process can go, will be helpful for us in our planning.
Certainly makes sense. Thank you for continually evolving and taking into account the new transportation study and plan, as well as PennDOT regulations being updated and keeping township abreast of that as well. Thank you. Does the board have any comments or questions?
The only thing I'm saying, you asked my question is, if a resident, how are we going to deal with if a resident comes up with a concern, that we have a plan in place that we can address their concern while we redevelop or reissue this policy. So I guess whether it's police or.
Well, I'd like to add that the first step is really ensuring that we're collecting good speed data. So we have an improved radar count device now, which we deploy on a regular basis. So when we receive those type of inquiries, we can redeploy it in a very timely manner and collect that data and really look at the issues or if there aren't any issues at times too. We're also seeing that, many of our roads are within the parameters where it's not an issue also. So it's important we research the actual data and draw conclusions from that.
Yeah, just as long as the resident, reads, they're having the moratorium on traffic calm policies going away. I have this concern. How would we deal with it? But that's what we have a plan. And that's great. Thank you.
The other piece of it is part of the phase 2 of the plan is to identify areas where we know there's an issue and identify these projects so that we have priorities. If we get public input in between now and then, we can add those to that list for consideration.
Any other comments from the board? Or Chief, did you have something to add?
Yeah, just one of the things that we've been doing is making sure that we reach out to the residents when they have a complaint to say, hey, we heard you. We're sending officers to the house to meet with them so they can actually physically show them what the problem is. And then, like Tom said, sometimes the speed data shows that what the complaint is true or not. But either way, that contact has been helpful. And we keep them advised every step of the way. So when it's concluded, what the solution is, they know what it is, and until that architecture, which will be very helpful because it'll incorporate the PennDOT regulations, is there's a lot we can do as a township and the police department. They won't be left hanging.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Comments? Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Is there anyone online with a comment? No. Seeing and hearing none. Do I have a motion to adopt said resolution?
Motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Agenda item 8E, we have a resolution extending a conditional offer of employment for entry-level position of police officer in the Township's Police Department to applicants number 07878, number 01987, conditioned upon the individual's satisfactory completing the background investigation, polygraph examination, medical examination, and psychological examination to confirm their fitness for duty. And Chief Lombardi, if you'd please present.
Yeah, so the police department's respectfully requesting a conditional offer for 2 applicants because the first 2 applicants, one withdrew, one did not pass the background examination. So if we go down the list to the next 2 candidates, we'll give them that conditional offer because we're only filling 2 spots and those are the 2 that we're asking for right
Very good. Thank you, Chief. Any comments or questions from the board? Any public comment? Hearing and seeing none, we have a motion to adopt said resolution.
So moved.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Then item 9A, we have a motion to proceed with adoption of Civil Service 2025 promotional test results list for the positions of sergeant and lieutenant. And Chief Lombardo, if you'd please present.
So one of the two spots that I mentioned was a sergeant that just retired, Sergeant Hummel. So the police department conducted civil service promotional testing for the rank of lieutenant and sergeant. All aspects have been completed, including a written exam on March 10th and oral interviews on March 31st through April 1st. The Civil Service Commission has certified the eligibility list on Wednesday, April 9th. So the police department is respectfully requesting a motion to adopt the newly certified civil service promotional list for both lieutenant and sergeant.
Thank you, Chief. Does the board have any comments or questions? Or any public comment? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to approve said motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 9B, we have a motion to award bid number 2025-02 Vistas Park Reconstruction Project to Construction Master Services in the amount of $534,859. I'll ask Tom Petrucci to please present.
Thank you. So in 2020 and 2021, the township was awarded 2 grants, one through the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources and one through the Department of Community and Economic Development, both through the state, for development improvements to Vistas Park. So the township was granted a time extension for the grant from DCNR until December 31st, 2025 for the project to be completed. Also, we have a time extension through June 30th of 2026 to install the playground improvements that are required from the DCED grant. So as the board will recall, we went through several revisions to this park plan in order to meet the requirements of DCNR, because the original scope of work had a pretty robust set of requirements for nature play as well as plantings and so forth. The original grant award was slightly whittled down so that we still had to meet that scope of work, but at a reduced budget. So at the February 19th Board of Commissioners meeting earlier this year, the request for advertisement was approved by the board. And this past April 9th, the township received and opened 3 bids for the Vistas Park project. So the lowest responsible bidder was Construction Master Services, LLC. The bid came in at $534,859. The other 2 bids, the second lowest bidder was $651,000 and change, and the other one was $1,053,660.20. So these bids were widely varied and through across the spectrum here. But the low bidder, we've worked with them before. So we are requesting a motion to award the contract to Construction Master Services. They actually just recently completed the sidewalk project here at the township, and we had a positive experience with them. And we have no reservations on awarding another contract to the firm. In terms of the budgetary considerations of this bid, the bid is going to result in the expense line item being overdrawn over budget. In the interest of full transparency, we had budgeted $530,000 for the expense line item, and we had budgeted $285,966 for the revenue line item. So that comprises the $200,000 DCNR grant and the DCED grant in the amount of $85,966. So local funds for this project with this bid, as well as the playground, which will be discussed by Lynn Matula in the next agenda item, would be $336,333. We will have to adjust the expense line item from $530,000 up to $622,299 for the total project cost. However, due to the grant revenue and other capital items coming in, and as well as our existing capital reserve fund amount held in reserve, we believe the 25 budget will be able to absorb this, but you still will have to effectuate the budget amendment. So you're not creating a cash flow or a fiscal issue by approving it, but we will have to effectuate the expense amendment on the budget for the 25 budget later this year.
Very good, Tom. Thank you for that comprehensive overview of this agenda item. I certainly want to thank the township for reaching out to the residents in the neighborhood with this plan in mind to get their feedback, and the final product is beautiful. I think it's going to be very well embraced by the neighborhood.
Excuse me.
And I appreciate that the buffering from the homes there is put on the plan as well. So I'm very excited to see this move forward. Finally, it's been a long time coming. So thank you to all staff who did the work on this. When do we expect to see the project kick off if it's awarded this evening?
We would see it kick off probably in the next month and a half, and then it would need to be completed by September or October time period.
Very good. Thank you.
And we did coordinate with the athletic organizations so that they're not impacted due to the construction.
Excellent. Very good. Does the board have any comments or questions on this agenda item?
Is Public Works going to do anything, Herb? Are you going to help out? Are you going to save us so much money?
On this project, no, because this will be going on at the same time as the paving will be going on. So we couldn't be in both places at one time. We only have one paver unless you want to give us two, Tommy.
I think he was opening you up for you to say, hey, we can get more guys.
Yeah, and as far as the budgetary overage, I mean, there's a lot of factors at play right now with materials and economic issues at play in acquiring materials and so forth. We only had 3 bidders, so there were some external environmental factors here that led to the bid being over. Tony, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, we're kind of seeing that right now. I mean, there's the way that things are going, there's a lot of unknowns moving forward with construction and materials, as was said. So unfortunately, we're going to have to weather the storm. Things are going up a little bit. Who knows what's going to happen in a month or 2 months, but it's just the world we live in.
I just have a couple of comments. First of all, I'm happy to see this project get off the ground. It's another one that's been a long time coming, has gone through many iterations. So happy to see that. I also, Tom, I appreciate your fiscal diligence in this, and even though it's certainly over on that line item, it highlights, I think, the importance of having a strong capital reserve, which we do have, and it's meant for times like this when we have to dip into that in order to remain above board at the end of the year. And also, certainly seeing what the high bid was on this, even though the low bid is slightly over. When you compare the lowest bid, the intermediate bid, and the highest bid, it's quite a difference. So certainly this is the way to go, and I'm looking forward to getting this underway and done, and another project that will be off of staff's plate to have to deal with and think about and plan for. So thank you all.
Other board comments? Or any public comment on this agenda? None online. Do I have a motion to approve said motion?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And the partner motion is a motion to award the Vistas Park Playground Co-Stars purchase order to Recreation Resource USA Burke. And I'll ask our Park and Rec Manager, Lynn Matula, to please present. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. As Tom stated, I'm too short for this chair. And
You need a phone book.
as Tom had stated, as you know, we were awarded a grant, but the design actually specified nature play for any play equipment installed. So we explored nature play equipment after attempting several different designs, many different combinations, many different materials, and from different companies. After evaluating those costs, then we realized that the best way to move forward, trying to accomplish the design that we wanted and stay within the budget, was to pick one kind of showcase piece of equipment. and then decide on smaller pieces of equipment and hope to fill out that play area in the next budget year. So we wouldn't have been able to do them in the same budget year, but we wanted something that really embodied what we were hoping to go for in right away. So we chose the rock bencher equipment by Burke. We really felt like it embodied the theme and the aesthetic that we wanted to achieve. It's fun, it's unique. We don't have anything like it at any of our other parks. It's durable, it's cost effective. So it was our front runner for sure. We then started to decide on the other smaller pieces of equipment just to plan ahead. After we chose those pieces of equipment, Public Works, Herb, got to evaluate them and figure out which ones he could actually construct himself, or the staff could construct themselves for Public Works. So we, after deciding that there were several types or styles of equipment that Public Works could actually construct in-house, that kind of opened the door to allow us to fill out or complete the play area in the same budget year, and also kind of further embody the nature play theme or aesthetic. So it will be actual nature play made in-house. So we thought that was pretty neat, and we're excited about that. So that is our final design. So we're asking for the approval for the rock bencher equipment, and then the rest of the play area and possibly other play area spots, as Tony created other spots for us. We're hoping to fill out in the park as well with other pieces that Public Works has constructed.
And thank you for that presentation, and thank you for working with Public Works. Herb, thank you and your team for being willing to help out to make this project the best that it can be. We appreciate the work between departments. Thank you so much. Does the board have any comments or questions as we proceed with this?
I do have a quick comment. The Public Works Department is so talented, so much talent that you can tap into. So I really appreciate the fact that they're going to contribute to this. Will there be any kind of sign or nod to them when the playground is completed?
At this time, we don't have one, but once the plantings get put in around the nature play that Public Works has constructed, we are going to look at getting a sign and give credit to the gentleman who actually built it, yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So let me get this straight, Lynn. Herb went out and played on some of these rocks to see if they would, is that what I heard you say? And if he did anybody get a video?
Yeah, I'll add, thank you both for working on this. Certainly when you take the broad view, I mean, we've spent a lot of time and effort on improving our parks in this township for a long time. Along with that is also, it's been a lot of money invested in parks, but the more we're able to, I think, innovate in-house, keep construction of playgrounds, in-house, I think it's really key. And I know we worked through the master parks plan, working on updates, sort of talking through changes to a whole bunch of our parks and the neighborhood parks in particular. And I think the more we can feature that sort of natural aesthetic moving forward, even when we go through updating each of our pocket parks, I think is really important. I think it's going to make this park certainly a gem, and I just think it'd be great things to keep in mind as we continue to do other park projects. So really great innovation, great work, and after 4 or 5 years of discussing Vistas Park, it's finally going to happen. I know there's some folks out in the neighborhood who can't wait for it to happen. So thank you both again.
And we're also very grateful to the Park and Rec Board. I know they're very involved with the planning of this as well. So we appreciate their work. If you'd pass that along to them at their next meeting.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
There are no other comments from the board. Is there any public comment? No one online? Do I have a motion to approve said motion?
Motion.
Second. Oops. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn and Herb and team. Agenda item 9D, we have a motion to approve a request for a waiver of a street moratorium on 2124 Belmont Street, Allentown, I'll ask Director of Operations Herb Bender to please present.
Thank you. The property owner at 2124 Belmont Street is requesting the street moratorium be lifted. This request is necessary to facilitate the installation of a gas service for the property. What I'm going to request is that we table this until I can get some further information from UGI and then come back to the board as soon as I have that information from UGI.
That makes sense. I'll make a motion to table. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This agenda item is tabled.
Thank you.
Thank you, Herb. Agenda item 9E, we have a motion to form a Vision Zero task force. I'll ask Long Range Planner Chris Stroller to please present.
Thank you. As Randy and Rob alluded to earlier, the most important part after adopting the transportation plan is the continuing focus on that plan and implementation of that plan. So we are asking tonight for a motion to start the formation process of a Vision Zero task force, which would be a working group to continue to use this plan and monitor its progress, start to work through some of the items in there in the identification of what projects should be prioritized for capital improvements, what programs we should be working on. When we looked at it earlier, the steering committee for this was a very diverse, robust group. It was great to see a cross-departmental project. We hope to see cross-departmental involvement with the potential task force, as well as some outside support with many of our agencies dealing with transportation, safety, and the communities that are affected by transportation. So the thought for this is to develop sort of a smaller working group that would probably meet 2 to 3 times a year at most to look at the development of this plan, and then have them interface primarily with the Public Safety Commission. Public Safety Commission is probably the most appropriate public board that we have to present these projects to. So what we're looking for is the approval to go forward and talk to Public Safety Commission about the implementation of this plan, get their feedback on the best way to sort of interface and start to develop this Vision Zero task force, which would essentially carry through all of the items that are identified in the implementation of that.
Very good, Chris. Thank you for that presentation. And I'm very much in favor of the steps forward with this task force. It sounds really, really wonderful. And I think including the Public Safety Commission is certainly the way to go as well. So I'm fully in support of this. Does the board have any comments on this?
Yeah, my only comment, and this is very preliminary, but because I know some neighboring municipalities, specifically the city of Allentown, have also really dedicated a lot of time and resources towards the Vision Zero project. But just something I think that really needs to be emphasized and sort of kind of be one of the guiding points throughout this project is really there's been a lot of effort put towards driver safety and adhering to traffic laws, not speeding, right, eliminating a lot of the distractions that drivers have, which is certainly, I think, one of the key contributors to a lot of the unfortunate accident deaths we have. But just something I've seen it a lot in the city of Allentown, but I have seen it at certain points in South Whitehall as well. We really need to focus on pedestrian education, pedestrian safety, be that access. I know we talked a lot about that in the transportation plan, but also just making sure that our residents, our guests, visitors are really fully aware of the best ways to travel on foot. I've seen so many close calls of situations, like I said, mostly in the city, but some in the eastern part of South Whitehall, especially on the Hamilton corridor, of pedestrians darting across the street, children playing in busy intersections. And it's heartbreaking to think what could happen. So again, I know this is very preliminary. We're just forming the task force, but I mean, and I know it was mentioned actually in the document that you provided to us, but pedestrian education, safety, and pedestrian related safety regulations have to be front and center. It's a key component because even if we reduce unsafe driving practices, that really puts drivers and pedestrians at risk if we're not making up for that with pedestrian safety as well. So just something I had to say, because I've just seen far too many close calls and have experienced far too many close calls, of children, of seniors, of any resident, having their life really threatened. So
Absolutely
important to consider.
Well said. Certainly, as you can see in the plan, there's the infrastructure side of it, the capital investment side of it, but then there's also the kind of programmatic side of it, and there's the outreach and the education. As part of this, Vision Zero Task Force, we absolutely welcome Chief Lombardo and his expertise and his background and ideas that he might have in kind of bringing a lot of this to light. And that's the other reason of, we only really had a year or so to start to get into this, get some ideas down on paper, but it's how do we flesh those out and try to get the word out about some of this, and also make sure that a lot of this gets integrated into some other programs and certain some things I know the chief has on his priority as well.
Very good. Any other comments from the board? Is there any public comment? No online comments. Do I have a motion to approve said motion?
Motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item 9F, we have a motion granting permission to proceed with the installation of improvements at Grand Lawn Park, 1337 North 28th Street, by the Parkland Youth Center, to be funded by way of the Keystone Community Initiatives Grant Program. And I'll ask Township Manager Tom Bertucci to present.
Thank you. So the Parkland Youth Center, and we've been working with Andrew Garger, has preliminarily obtained a grant application in the amount of $145,450 through the Keystone Community Initiatives Grant Program, which is administered by the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. So the scope of the work would include improvements at Grand Lawn Park, specifically the baseball, softball field. So Grand Lawn Park is a 2.56 acre pocket park, 50% of which is comprised of the baseball, softball field facility. So the scope of work involved in the grant includes fencing in the outfield along the tree line, dugout improvements, a new storage shed, and relocating the shed in a more accessible place, maintenance equipment, including a utility task vehicle and attachments to maintain the field, such as dragging the fields, batting cages, and miscellaneous restoration maintenance work, including the repair of existing fencing, replacing the padding on the backstop, and other safety enhancements. So just yesterday, we received confirmation from DCED officials that the grant program has no requirements of ownership or maintenance on the part of the township. In other words, the Parkland Youth Center can be the administrator of the grant and the recipient of the grant, and the township would, of course, remain the owner of all of the improvements. Now, the equipment itself would be in the name of Parkland Youth Center, but all of the associated dugout improvements, the fencing, and so forth, since it's on township property, would remain in the name of the township. So this evening, requesting approval to proceed with the grant and allow Parkland Youth Center to sign the grant. Separately, I will work with Director of Legal Affairs Jennifer Aldifer with putting together a license agreement which confirms that they are indemnifying the township while they're conducting the work on site, and that we're granting them access, and that they agree to comply with all of the grant provisions. So at this point tonight, so that we can meet the April 23rd, 2025 deadline imposed by DCED to accept the grant, we just need a motion to confirm that you're agreeing to that arrangement.
Very good, Tom. Thank you for the presentation to the board and for the information in our packet. I want to thank Chief Andrew Garger for his work in seeking this grant. I think the improvements that are proposed through this grant and the safety enhancement are just fantastic. It's a very often used field in the township, and I think it's going to be a great improvement. So thank you to all and for you for working to get this moved ahead. Does the board have any comments or questions?
Yeah, my comment is just personally, it's been nice to drive by the baseball field and see it, especially over the past season or two being used more and more with PYC. They have their banners out, they have the games, everyone. It's been really great. It's a wonderful facility. We're lucky to have it in the township. And I think any improvements that we can make or that the youth organizations want to advocate for are always worthwhile. So I'm looking forward to seeing this happen.
Yeah, I think I grew up there, and over the years, it has become, I think, the nicest ball field in the township. If we could take that, get rid of 22 and a lot of houses and add parking, right, it would be perfect. Unfortunately, it is where it is, and Andrew did a lot of work. Some of the improvements will address the residents' concerns that live around there, and improve the aesthetics of the field, and it's just really beautiful. April 26th is opening day. Anybody one comes down to do a little program, introduce the kids and all, make it kind of a big deal for the kids, but it's a nice little program he puts on.
Thank you, Commissioner Peischel. Any other comments from the board? Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion to approve said motion?
Motion.
Second. Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And item 10, correspondence, information, boards, commissions, informational items. Tom, if you'd please review.
Thank you. So upcoming meetings and events are as follows, with details posted on the township website. So right now it's actually local government week, so we did highlight that on the website. We encourage residents to stop by and try to learn more about the services that local government completes. And you can hear from tonight just so many of the good initiatives that we're currently involved in, including park improvements, long-term planning for transportation improvements, and so forth. So Wednesday, April 16th is Local Government Day. Friday, April 18th, Good Friday, the township offices are closed. Wednesday, April 23rd, 10 a.m. is the Pension Committee meeting. Wednesday, April 23rd, zoning hearing is actually canceled. Saturday, April 26th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. is our Earth Day planning in the park event at Covered Bridge Park. Thursday, April 28th, 6 p.m. is the Landscape and Shade Tree Commission. Thursday, April 28th, 7 p.m. is the Environmental Advisory Council. Monday, May 5th, 7 p.m. is Public Safety Commission. And Wednesday, May 7th, 7 p.m. is a Board of Commissioners meeting.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for posting the Local Government Week information on the township website. I think that's the first time we've done that as a township, and I appreciate that because the work that's done here by administration and staff, our advisory boards, it's a good opportunity for the public to be aware of what happens right here in your own community. So I encourage residents to log onto the website and take a look at the good work that's being done here by your elected officials and all of our township staff. So thank you for that. We have no direction, discussion, no old business. Agenda item 13 is courtesy of the floor. Again, opportunity for any member of the public to address the board on any non-agenda items. So we're in present who would like to address the board. Is there anyone online with a comment this evening? Hearing and seeing none, I need a motion to authorize payment of invoices and disbursements.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have no exec session to schedule this evening. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.